Alright guys, what is going on? This is Brett, back with another Power Rankings video. Unfortunately, Bash has decided to depart ways with the YouTube team, and as such, I am going to have to find a new member to co-host Power Rankings with me. Today, we are trying out our buddy Ian here. Everybody knows him. Say hello, Ian.
Hello, well, I'm Ian, the leader of the Alter Motives clan and the co-commissioner of the ASL. I'm sure you already know me, so yeah.
Yeah,
Let's get this power rankings done.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get it started. At number 14, we have a difference of opinion right off the bat. I put myself, and you put Texas. Since I put myself, why don't you start out with explaining why you put Texas down here at number 14?
Okay. So I have Texas in 14. He lost this week to Cody in a 5-0 loss. My main concern about Texas is in that game especially, he kept U-turning into hazards. And he kind of did 50% of the work for Cody by chipping himself down.
Yeah.
I think Texas does have a lot of ideas that could potentially pay off, but he needs to think them a lot more through. And I think it will probably be easier for him once he gets his first win, which is only just a matter of time. So, yeah, I think that's why I have him down in 14.
Yeah, it's
and
always.
Why do you have yourself in 14?
I have myself at number 14 because I felt that whenever it came to Static's team, and a thing that I have been looking at my team and something that people have brought up to me is that I don't really have effective breakers that can break outside of setup or having like a choice item. And I feel as though I didn't really bring any effective breaking potential against him, especially for Vaporeon.
Yep, I agree.
And I didn't really have anything for Sigilif at the end. I mean, he picked the perfect time to set up, but I just didn't have anything for Sigilif.
Yeah. I think your team kind of contrasts the team I have in number 13, actually, so that would be a perfect segue. In the sense that I think your team has very limited breaking potential and a lot of bulk. However, I think the team in my 13th place is a total opposite in the sense that they have a lot of offense but very limited bulk. And that would be in 13th place Matt Matagross, Washington Red Skitty, where he lost 2-0 to Peach this week. He got a little unlucky here with Mega Gallade critting his Scyther with his Shadow Sneak. However, he did get a crit back with Mega Absol hitting a Play Rough. But I feel that he would have lost either way because he didn't really prep really well for Scarf or Corona. And yeah, similar to you, I think he does have a very offensive team. I mean, not similar to you, it's the opposite of you.
Yeah.
He might want to make a few changes, and if he wants to actually make a comeback sometime this season. Yeah, that's why I have him in 13.
Yeah, I decided to put Texas here at number 13 because I felt like my battle against let's see, I battled Static. Yeah, I battled Static. I felt like I did a lot worse in the battle, like more on prep wise than I did like during the battle itself. Like you said, Texas, he kind of wore his own team down. And there was also some really good prep from Cody, like the Grass Knot on Greninja. But whenever you have a Swampert, that's a little bit to be expected from Greninja. And I don't know, Texas hasn't been around for the longest time, and Cody really likes to bring Water Shuriken whenever he has Greninja. So there's also that. But I also feel as though the U-turn play on the Drampaw was kind of questionable because of potential Berserk. And that causes Fortress to just get bopped.
Yeah. And Fortress took a lot of damage from hazards before Hyper Voice hit it. It was a good play.
And then I guess I'll talk about why I have Matt here at number 12 since you had him at 13. I put him here he let Peach get up that free swords dance with Gallade, and it was really unfortunate that, of course, he got the crit with Shadow Sneak, but he didn't even try to punish Gallade, because it was kind of, if he was going to set up with Gallade, that was the moment, and he just let it happen for free.
Yeah.
And then also really early on in the game, him losing Infernape really early on really didn't help him at all.
Yeah. And I think I have you in number 12, and I think you didn't really do too bad. I think you did as good as you could have done with your team.
Mm-hmm.
I think the main issue which I had with your game is your team in general is just way too passive, and it relies a lot on setup,
Mm-hmm.
and you rely a lot on Mew and Komao to do that, and they're both your top 2 picks.
Yeah.
And I think you could really use with early season transfer or transaction to sort it out and maybe get a physical breaker to go along with that Mega Magnetric of yours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, besides that, I can't really fault much because Static timed the Sigilyph set up perfectly, and there really isn't much you can do when the Sigilyph is setting up in front of you,
Mhm.
and you don't have any access to haze or anything along those lines.
Yeah, had no phasing
Yeah.
options.
Yeah.
Guess what can you do when that happens? But at number 11, we have yet another difference. I have Splurge. You have Bash here. I have
Yeah.
Splurge here. Another one of our newbie coaches. I've gone to, like, what I do with the newbie coaches is I like to put them a little bit of behind until they start to show some more potential. And a lot of what I didn't think Splurge played bad whatsoever in his match versus TCP. I just feel as though TCP majorly outprepped him.
Yeah.
And another thing I'll say for Splurge, he had a really great Rapidash set. I really liked that.
Oh yeah.
And it was a nice bring with HP Rock on Celesteela for the Rotom if he switched into it.
Yeah. And I think I'll get to Splurge in a second, but let me talk about Bash real quick, why I have him in 11th. I have him in 11th because, similar to you, I feel like he didn't really threaten Brad much this game. I felt like Brad had control of the entire momentum of this game, and I'm really yet to see what's his face, Bash. Bash actually show up this season. I think he's played Cody and he's played Brad, so a couple of really tough games early on. But I think he'll only get better once he plays or get used to his own roster.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it can only go up from here for Bash. But yeah, definitely needs to look into having more control of the game. Yeah, taking charge.
Mm-hmm. And then at number 10, you decided to put Splurge here.
Yeah.
Why do you have Splurge above Bash?
Okay, so I put Splurge over Bash because, well, Splurge is actually a really strong coach, and even with a 4-0 loss to TCP, you could see glimpses of his brilliance.
Mm-hmm.
He does really like really unorthodox sets, that Natural Gift Rapidash, for example, and the Hidden Power Rock, Celesteela, for example. But I think that he needs to find a better balance between good gimmicks and also more reliable sets or more reliable mons, because in a league as competitive as the ASL, can't really afford to do that against really strong coaches. You might be able to get away with it a couple of times, but you can just get overpowered like TCP just did here.
Yeah.
That's why I have him in 10th. But I think he did show more creativity and more desire to win compared to Bash. That's why I placed him a bit higher.
I decided to put Melone here at number 10, right below Shadow. Melone played fairly well in that battle. If it wasn't for him not bringing an attacking move on his Volbeat, I feel as though he definitely would have won that. But I mean, what can you do when you PP stall out and then Cartana gets his beast boost? But I don't really feel like Melone played too terribly. There's a lot of good things in there. I really liked the way he had his Volbeat set up. Did its job perfectly.
Yeah.
But it's just unfortunate that he didn't have an attacking move to finish the job.
Yeah. I have Malone in 9th as to your 10th placing, but I have pretty much quite similar notes to you in the sense that I think that he got really unlucky with Cortana surviving with less than 1% health. And but I do think he does kind of have himself to blame here in the sense that Volbeat could eat any of Cortana's moves all day, but it couldn't do anything back, so it was kind of pointless in bringing it because you're not going to outstall a Cortana with just Roost. It was eventually going to kill you. And I think that Malone this season in general, he showed glimpses at times of his season 6 brilliance, but he needs to be more confident in himself and also to start being more consistent in his prep. Yeah, I think as long as he gets back in his winning style and winning groove, he should be fine. But yeah, he just needs to put in more effort, I think.
Yeah, because a lot of Mons is just that mental game. Because a lot of the times, if you don't feel up to it, then you're just gonna have a bad day.
Yeah.
I decided to put Shadow here at number 9th. I was praising. I still believe that this is Shadow season. Honestly, I believe that he's like. I don't know if he'll make playoffs, but I believe this is his best chance to do it if he does end up doing it. I really like his team. I still resent him for taking Cartana from me, but that totally didn't reflect in my rankings. But his battle versus he played Melone this week, and it was like I was saying before, it was really unfortunate that Cartana lived. In my opinion, it really shouldn't have. The odds were definitely stacked against it, but I mean it did live, so you can't fault Shadow for the luck of Mons. But with Cartana living, he didn't freak out or falter or anything. He just continued with the battle and ended up picking up that win in the end.
Yeah, I agree. So at number 8, I have Splurge. Or was it Splurge? No, I have Peach.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. One of the Weevils. So I have Peach in number 8, and I think Peach played really well this week against Matt, pulling off a 2-0 victory. His prep with Volcarona was very simple, but it was all that was needed to actually win. Choice Scarf Volcarona came in clutch in the end. He dealt with Matt's walls really well. He got the desired chip that he needed to, and he was really determined not to let that Mesprit set up rock.
Yep, definitely.
With his Don Fan constantly rapid spinning, and that I would say that probably won him the game in the end because Volcarona could survive the Kieran Black's fusion bolt, and he got the win. I think Peach so far in the first couple of games he had a bit of a rocky start. Wasn't too convincing, but I think this week is starting to show his potential, and I think he'll be there somewhere in the playoff picture come the end of the season.
Yeah, definitely. I decided to put Bash here at number 8. I mainly put him above Shadow, mostly because of differential purposes. It was hard for me to choose between them, so I just decided to put it there on differential. He had a really bad week against Brad. I know I can speak for Bash here whenever I say it's really hard to go up against your mentors because they know just about everything you're going to do because they can read you like a book. And the only way that you can counteract that is to do something they've never seen before. And I don't think that Bash was able to do that this week, which I believe that's probably why he ended up losing to Brad.
Yeah. So at number 7, I have Shadow. So this game was a really odd one for me because when I was first watching it, I can't actually remember what mon, but he switched in a mon that was, um, oh, he switched in his Landorus into a Hydro Pump from Caldea,
Mm-hmm.
and that was exactly when I joined the game, I think, and I was kind of thinking, oh no, it's another Shadow moment. It wasn't a very good thing to see, but he did keep his composure, and that Kartana prep, again, similar to the Peach prep earlier. It was really simple, just a scarf, but it was done really well, and he picked the right move to actually just
Mm-hmm.
win the game from that point. And yeah, I think Shadows actually, this is his best opportunity to put in potential playoff uh, berth for himself, and I'm excited to see where he goes from here.
Yeah, another thing that I want to say about Shadow that I forgot about is he's been growing a lot recently, especially in regards to keeping his composure. I go back
Yeah.
to last season during the I forgot what that thing's the other playoffs.
Yeah.
I forgot
Yeah.
what it's called.
Constellation bracket.
Yeah, there it is. But Shadow won that like against me in the end. Like I was really far ahead of him, and then he just kept his composure and just swept me with Volcarona last season. It's something that I'm really starting to praise him for, and I'm really looking forward to see what he can pull off this season.
Yeah, and I think that he did something similar to me in Constellation bracket last year as well.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm excited. He's been improving, so definitely one to watch out for.
I decided to put Peach here at number 7, right above Bash. I've always been interested in Peach as a coach, purely
Yeah.
because like he seems like a good guy, and also whenever I've seen him battle, such as whenever we had the Commissioner Bowl last year, that was the first time I actually got to battle against him and see him battle. It was actually really, you could definitely see his potential as a future coach back then, and
Yeah,
I think that it was a really good decision in bringing him in to the ASL because I think he can do great things here.
yeah, that's true. And number 6, we have drumroll. Okay, so we have a difference of opinion.
Yep.
I took a little extra time to actually get the page loading. So I have Brent. I don't have Brett. I have what's
Yeah,
his
put
face?
me at number
Brad.
6.
I'm really tired.
By all means,
have
I would not oppose you putting me at number 6.
I do have Brad at number 6, and you have Static. Why did you have a go and talk about Static, and why did you put him?
I decided to put Static here, mainly because he got that win over me. It was like I feel as though this is one of his better prepped games in a while that I've seen from him, but I don't know. I just like putting Brad over people because Brad just has that experience, you know. That's mainly the reason. It's nothing against Static. I just like to put Brad over people just basically purely based on Brad's experience. But I do see that Static is doing a lot better than he was last season, at least so far.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that because he's another one of those coaches that likes to use unorthodox sets, I'm hoping that he's learned from last season to start getting a balance between doing things that work and doing gimmicks. And I think that he's really starting to like buckle down.
I have Brad at number 6. He did get was it a 3-0? Yeah, 3-0 win over Bash. Can't really fault him in that game entirely because he had control from start to finish. However, I only just have him 6 because I feel like he hasn't kicked into full gear yet this entire season, and especially that game against TCP. Yeah, that 5-0 loss to TCP was a big one, and yeah, I think just on the basis of that, I feel that he does have a lot of room to improve, and yeah, I'm sure that once he gets used to his team a bit more, we can see him definitely competing for the top 2 spots even by the end of the season.
Most definitely, because Brad's team, he normally doesn't do like super hyper offense, at least in like,
Yeah,
in like official season leagues, at least in the ASL that I've seen. And
Yeah.
this season he decided to draft hyper offense with support for Charizard X.
yeah,
And Charizard X in the hands of Brad is so scary to prep for,
yeah,
because Brad is one of those coaches that is very unpredictable. And like, oh yeah, I don't need to spoil the next week, but let's just say that Charizard is putting in some work.
yeah. And I think that a thing about Charizard X is it's a mon that often gets overlooked for its special attack when it has a monster special attack stat. And just because of Tough Claws, people tend to always run it physical. But I think Brad is one of those coaches that understands the underlying potential of certain mons that some people might overlook, and yeah, that's what makes him really good as a coach, and definitely a huge threat with a mon like Charizard. So at number 5, let me talk a little bit about Static. So Static pulled off a 5-0 victory over you this week.
Mhm.
And the thing about Static is this is probably the most threatening I feel he has been in a very long time, in the sense that um, he has been playing a lot more freely. You can see that he's put quite a bit of thought in prep, and he has been really reaping the benefits from it. That Sigilif setup was really good, and it was timed to perfection, and he is definitely one to be to he could actually win the season entirely if he puts in the same amount of effort every week. It's a dark horse pick for me to win the season.
Yeah, definitely. I think Static has always had that potential, which just he he kind of holds himself back in a way.
Yeah.
At least when it comes to, like I said, those unorthodox sets. But I believe that he is really kicking it into gear this season.
Yeah.
Since I already talked about Brad, I guess we'll go ahead and move on to number 4 here,
Yeah.
where we have finally an agreement. I don't think we've had any agreements until now.
Yeah, I think so.
We finally have an agreement in putting you, the human scollopedes, at number 4.
Human centipedes.
No,
This is a shout out for Bash.
Gotta bring
Get
back
it out of
Bash's
the way.
legacy.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ! But you lost, right? You lost this week.
Yeah, I lost to Vish.
Yeah, Vish. Ooh, that's a tough one. That's always a tough one. I
Yeah.
didn't really see anything too wrong going on in that battle from you.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the only thing that I'm really saying is that, like, it's just Vish, you know? It's literally
Yeah.
just Vish. But I didn't really see anything too wrong. I'd have to go back and look at the sets because I don't really remember what exactly you brought or what exactly happened. But
Yeah.
I have you below TCP because TCP got a more dominating win than you did this week.
I didn't even win this week.
Well, you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
In my heart,
Well,
you won.
Oh. So I have myself in 4th, and I do feel that I did kind of mess up this week, in the sense that my Clefable set was quite bizarre and it didn't really work for me. I was kind of using it to predict setup Lando, but yeah, it didn't work. And I was thinking maybe he might switch in the Toxapax and the Clefable, so I could probably get a potential trick. But yeah, that didn't work. So the Clefable set was a big fail. Otherwise, I think I lost mainly because that Scarf Helio, I mispredicted Hidden Power Ground on my Magneton. If I went into Azelf at that time, was being immune to HP ground. I could have probably won that game, but I have myself to blame, and Vish played perfectly, so can't question him there. Yeah.
And then I guess moving on to number 3, we both have TCP. Another agreement. Finally, we're agreeing on things. I feel like we're finally getting some synergy here. But we both have TCP here, who had a pretty convincing win over Splurge this week. His prep was spot on. I really liked the trick on Jirachi to shut down the Masharna.
Yeah.
And like, I just feel like TCP really had his way with Splurge this week.
Yeah. I feel like that trick on Masharna was actually what I was trying to do with Toxapex, but he did it much more efficiently, and he actually managed to pull it off. And TCP's first game this season was a bit shaky. He got destroyed, I think, by Cody, was it, in the first game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then he pulled a really strong victory last week against Brad, and this week again against Splurge. So I think he's really starting to flex his
he
Panda
wants that
muscles,
redemption.
Yeah, he wants to be a 2-time champ. Or is he already? No, he's not a 2-time champ. He wants to be a 2-time champ.
He is a 2-time champ. Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Oh. He's gonna be a 3-time champ.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So let's not have him win, and let's.
Number 2, we both have Vish.
Yeah.
Oh my god, you talk.
Yeah. So Vish, he played perfectly this week. It was a really close game. Could have gone either way till the end, but he made me think through. I had to make decisions. I had to make big calls that if I were to make the right call, I could have won, but I didn't. I made the wrong call, and he actually put me in the position to make the call. So give him all the credit in the world for that. It was a very difficult game, and I think he played really well. Couldn't fault him at all.
Yeah, it's just like whenever you look at the top 2, for the majority of, well, at least for the first half of the season last season, it was Cody and TCP, Cody and Vish at the top most of the season. And it's the same here. They're 2 titans right now in the ASL. Very rarely do I see Vish ever falter in matches. It's like, but whenever he does have an off week, it transcends into a week or 2 of being off, and then he kicks it into gear after that. But I mean, so far he's still showing his strength that he has always had, and I believe that whenever he's fully comfortable, I mean, he seems pretty comfortable with it, but I mean, everybody has room to grow. I believe that some great things can pop out from him again this season, just as it did last season.
Yeah. So, at number 1, we have an agreement again. There's a 4th in a row.
The synergy between us is unmatched right now.
So we have Cody, the London Lapras, number 1. So Cody has been amazing this season. Huge differential, and even more impressive wins. And if I could bet all my life savings, I would say that Cody's going to win this season and be a 2-time. So I think that victory he had this week, was it against who did he play this week?
I think
against Texas. Yeah, it was a 5-0 win over Texas, and the way he set up hazards and let Texas do the damage to himself was brilliant. It was basic, it was simple, but it was all that was needed to win. And wasn't a complicated plan, but those are the best plans.
Yeah, I whenever I was watching this battle, every time, I talked about this earlier, every time I see Cody with Greninja, it always has Water Shuriken. I just feel like that what he does, it's like, it's coming, but it's just so hard to counteract because he just pulls it off so perfectly
Yeah,
every time.
that's true. So do you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, I guess we'll wrap it up here. This is the end of Week 3 Power Rankings. I'm probably going to be trying out a few different hosts until I can find the one that's perfect. But thank you, Ian, so much for joining me for Week 3 here.
It sounds like I got fired after my first 10.
Alright, Jesus Christ. Oh my god. Anyway, I guess that's going to wrap it up for us. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you guys back for Week 4.
Thank you.